Hello and welcome to Old City Architecture CAD tutorial, and in this video I'll be showing you the 8 important settings you have to make in Revit as a beginner before you start your modeling and before you start drawing using Revit. So as a beginner, what do you have to do to improve your work page in Revit and to ensure that your modeling is easy and without problems? So we'll be diving into that shortly. So as a beginner, when you open your Revit architecture page, this is normally the outlook of your interface, which you'll be seeing as displayed on my own screen. And there are certainly different things you need to set in order to ensure that your page is good enough or is according to what you really want or how you really want it, in order to be able to do your modeling successfully. So the very first thing you need to set as a beginner in Revit is the options. Now there are some settings here that you need to put in place in order to make your work extremely easy and fast. Now in the general, you will find out that there are some settings you have to make here, like the save reminder interval, the synchronize with the central reminder interval. Now what is this all about? This simply helps you to save your project intermediately as you go on, as you work, in order not to lose your progress, maybe due to a fault or any other thing. Now setting your reminder intervals to 30 minutes is optimal. You can also set it to an hour or two, but I think setting it to 30 minutes an interval is better. And now then you have the default view discipline. Now here is where you have to select which discipline you are in, either as a structural engineer or as an architect. So you set it to architecture if you are an architect. So in the user interface, you have the active theme. Here in my own is dark, but you see when I change it to the light, the theme changed too. So I'll return it back to the dark, and you can see how the my interface also changed. Now the other thing you need to set here, which is very important, is your keyboard shortcuts. This is very important. As a beginner in Revit, if you want to really work fast, you have to ensure you get yourself, acclimatized with the shortcut, the default shortcut that Revit has already, applied or assigned in your in normal Revit. Now there is a default here. You can see all of them, the different elements you can find in Revit, they are all here, and some of them have shortcuts. Now what this shortcut does is just to, once you input the letters and you enter, you automatically start using what that thing is meant for, so you don't need to go and select it. So for instance, if I type in roof here, everything about roof in this my Revit project will display all the commands that need to be done: create roof, recreate roof, all of them. But you see roof soffit, if I want to assign a command to it, a shortcut to it, I'll just click on it and then type in the letter, the keyword that I want to use to associate with it as a shortcut. So roof soffit, so I'll just type in RF here as an example, then assign it. Once you assign it, the shortcut is going to appear on the shortcut, and that means once you type in that RF in my page, once I type it there, now it will automatically bring up the roof soffit. So I will just start creating my roof soffit once I click that. So that is why you need to set your keyboard shortcut. You can set all the shortcut that you need in the project depending on what you want. Now the double click option, this simply means once you double click on an element in your Revit, what happens. So here double clicking on many of the elements is to edit them. So if you don't want this to be the case, you can decide to change it here and set it to what you want. But I'll leave it there because normally once I double click, I like to think that I'm going to edit it. So basically that is those are the three things you need to set here. The other one, they are not so important. That active theme, just to give it a feel that you want, the keyboard shortcut just to help you to work faster, and a double click option. Then after that you go to the graphics. Now the graphics here is just to control how the colors on your page will be displayed, and the background too. You can see selection color is there, the pre-selection is there, the alert color is also there. So I can change the color to agree with what I want. It's not extremely important, but this is just to customize your Revit to how you want it. Now you can decide to invert the background. If I invert it and OK, my page is going to turn black. So you can see it has turned black. And if I go back and uncheck that invert background and then OK, it's going to return to the white. So you can see that is yeah, so that is what you do in order to change your background. Now here is the file location. This is simply to cover the directory Revit will be using. Especially to save your files and some other things, and the library. So if you want to set that, you can set that also. The rendering, you can always set your rendering when you are about to perform a rendering operation, but here you have to set general, in the user interface, the graphics, and optionally you may set file location, the directory. So once you've done what you need to do here, and you are okay with the setting, you have to OK, and Revit will apply all your changes to the page. Now the next thing you need to set here is the project unit. Now as a beginner, you need to know what Revit is, what is the default unit in Revit. So you go to project unit and Revit will show you all the default unit for the physical measurement that you have in your project: the length, the area, the volume, the angle, the slope, the currency, and the mass density. Now any of them you can change it to whatever form you like, but ensure is that the common, ensure it's set to common in discipline. And if I want to set my length, you can see the default here on my page is in millimeters. Now I can change it to feet, to meters, to centimeters, to decimeters, whatever I want. You can see all of them, the options are here. So whichever one works best for you, you have to select it. Now in the decimal places, I can set it to any decimal place, but I'm going to leave it at 0. Now I can set, I can apply, attach a unit to it, the unit symbol, or I can just leave it at none. Mostly I like to leave it at none because when I dimension, I don't want the symbol to be added to my length. So the area too is also there, the volume is also there, and then the degrees. You can see the degrees here, the unit symbol is there, the degree symbol, and then the rounding off or the rounding, the decimal place is at 2 decimal place. I can decide to make it just 0 decimal, which means there will be no, the degrees will be whole, so there will be no decimal place. So I can also set the unit to decimal, degree, minutes and second, and so on and so forth, but I'm going to leave it at decimal degrees. And okay, so you can decide to set all these settings here to fit what you want. So imagine if you are working with the imperial unit, you need to set your page, your Revit, to ensure that it's in period. If you are going with the metric, you need to ensure that you are working with metric in order to ensure your work, your model is accurate. So once you've done that, you OK, and then the next thing you will need to set in your Revit is the levels of your different floors. Now you have to go to an elevation to do that. So in my page I already have some default or preset levels. You can see I have my level 1, which has 0 degrees, and the ground floor, the first floor, and another floor. So I can decide to set all this, change the name, and increase the height or decrease the height. All I need to do is to click on any of them and then go to the value, the height value, and then click on it, and I will edit it. If I decide to change it to 600, it will Revit will automatically assign that value to it in terms of height, and then I can do the same thing to the annotation, that is the label. I can just edit it to G floor, which is ground floor, and then OK it, and you will see this. I'll say yes, so that I can create a view for that. So that is how you increase or decrease a level height. And if you want to create a new one, you just click on it, then create similar. In creating similar, it will certainly create another level for you, which you can edit to fit what you want. So before you model, you have to create these things, and you can also use a shortcut LL to create a level. Just type in LL, enter, and you can create another level. Remember, you can also go to your keyboard shortcut in order to assign any command to that. But in default format, LL will create a level. So that is that about creating your level. So once you created the level, you now know how high your floor are. Then after that, you go to your object styles. Now this is where you will set your different elements and how they will appear in your drawings, the color, the thickness, and everything. Now this is not so important for people who are just going to model only, and they are not going to really draw with Revit. But if you are going to create your full drawings using Revit, you need to set your object style. So here now I'm increasing the wall width and changing the color. You can see I change it to that purplish color, and if I go to my plan, any of the plan, but I go to level 1, you can see if I draw my wall, you can see the color, it has appeared, it has become that particular color. So this is why you set your object style. Remember, I said it's not so important if you are not going to use your Revit to produce your presentation work. If just to model, these are not so important, because how your lines, your wall line display, how your window line display may not really affect your rendering. It's not going to affect your rendering. It's only when you want to use it to present, you have to set these objects. It's just like in AutoCAD, just like setting layers in AutoCAD. So this is where you set them, assign color, the weight, the line pattern, material if you want to, just like that. Once you've done that, you OK, then exit. So once you set your object, the next thing you have to do is to set the 5 basic building elements. That is the walls, the doors, the windows, the roofs, and the floors. These are the most important building elements you'll be using, so you have to set them. Like the walls, you have to set the size. Like the floors, you have to set the thickness. You know, the window, you have to set the width. The doors, you have to set the width too. The roof, you have to set the thickness too. So I'll pick a wall. So if you want to set a wall, what do? This is what you do. You pick any of the wall that's already existing in Revit, because Revit has default walls, and then you edit it. You can see there is the edit button, and then you can increase the thickness. So this is where you increase the thickness. Here this wall is 150 in thickness. I can change it to like 225, or even increase it to more than that, like 300. So once you increase it, this wall will automatically increase once I've applied this a particular size. Now I can also attach material. All I need to do is to click on the So the size, I can also click on the material and then change it to whichever material I want to change it to. So now it may not be so important to change the material at this point, because you can still do that even as you begin your model, but you can decide to set everything even from the beginning. So you can see this wall here has no render image and no rendering color. So I can decide to just apply another material, a default preset material here, like the cabinet, and it will automatically be applied to that wall. So if I OK it, you can see the wall has increased in my page, and then I OK. So the wall has increased to 300, but if you want to confirm it, you can dimension the wall. You can see it's 300 now. So let's say your wall, the wall you want to use in your model, is 300. So this is how you go about that. So I have the wall. So if I want to set the door, in the same approach I will need to use. Here I have preset doors, the 750 by 21 and 900 by 21 millimeters. So but if I want to create another door or edit any of them, I will just click on them, then change the values and then edit the label. But if I don't want to do that, if I want to create an entirely new door, a new door to add to the one that I already have on the page, all I need to do is to go to the duplicate. You can see if I duplicate, I can say, okay, let's say I'm creating a door that is 1200 millimeter in width and 2100 millimeter in height. So you can see, and then once you've created that, you need to edit the values. The values, the height is 21, so we'll leave that, will not increase it, but the width is 12, so we'll definitely increase that, then okay. So once you've done that, the door will automatically become 900. So this is how you set your door, the width, the height, and even the materials, they are out there. So you can set it to the kind of door you want and the width. Okay, I think the dimension is not so correct here. Let's try it again. It's not correct too. Okay, yeah, so you can see it's 1200 millimeter in width. So if I want to do windows too, that is how I'll go about it. I'll also edit. Now you can create as many as you want in this element. We are setting, you can create more than 2 walls, 3 walls if you are going to use that in your model. You can create more windows if you are going to use that in your model. You can create more doors. So the reason why you need to set all those things is to ensure that once you start your model, you can just proceed without any interruption, or your work can be very fast. So I'll place that window that I just set in, and then confirm that it's really the values that are imputed that are there. So 600, so that is correct. So if you want to create another window, all you need to go is go back and duplicate and then set the values. So I'm going to try to set a roof. You can just pick any level here, since we are not really drafting, we are just trying to set our roof. So you can see there are different kinds of roof now in my template, in my page, as in this Revit. I can decide to edit one of them to fit what I'm going to use for this project, but for now I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave that, then do the same thing for the floors. Now the reason I just told you why you need to do this is when you now want to create this, all you just have to do is to apply this particular setting you've already done. So I can increase this floor width and also change the material if I wish to, and that will be that. Then apply it and okay. So That's just how you set your floors, your roof, your doors, your windows, and your walls. So it's very, very important you set all those things before you start your model, so that you will not be going back and forth, or creating doors and windows that are not, accurate, because most of the doors and windows in Revit are not in the size that you readily want, so you need to customize them. So this is why you need to set them. So the next thing you'll be doing is to try to set your view range in all the floor plans. Now, when I say view range, this simply means how will I describe it? Just as it sounds, the view, the range, how high, like in your plans. Now your plan is cut, so how high is that cut plane? That is what this view range is simply talking about. So normally sometimes you add some elements to your Revit and they are not showing on your plan. Most of the time the problem is usually your view range. So I'm going to do some tweak here and you will see what I'm talking about. Now you can see when I click on the view range, it showed the top offset, the associated level offset, the top, the cut plane. Now the cut plane is very, very important. The cut plane, you can see there's an offset there, so you have to ensure that that cut plane is at a view or a certain offset that is covering all the elements that you added that you want to show in a particular plan, like the windows, the doors, and everything. So if I set it to 1/8, you see that one of the windows has disappeared. You can see the smaller window has disappeared, so which means that view range is somehow out of the reach of that small window, because the window was 600 by 600 and it was placed at 900 thereabout. So if I set it to 1/2, the window will begin to show again. So you need to set all this view range in your different views, either in plan, your section, your different things, your different views on Revit, in order to ensure that all the elements that you created are showing in your view. So ensure you do that. Now you can also do that later on, in even as you progress in the work, but the reason why you do this is to ensure that you don't have any issues once you start your modeling. So the next thing you need to do is to set your detail level. The detail level is found on your the graphic display control menu that is down on the Revit interface. So if you look at it, you can see there are three different display levels that you can find in Revit: the coarse, the medium level, and then the fine. All these display level have their own default settings. So you can see I change it to medium and the line on that door appeared. If I change it to fine, the line will also remain. Now for architects drafting in Revit, you have to set your level, your display level to fine. There's a reason for that, because all the details that you create will be visible. Now if I decide to edit my wall to add a cut pattern, the common brick, you see what I'm talking about. So you can see the hatch has come up for my walls because I set it to that brick. If I set it to coarse, it will disappear. Then medium, it appears. So as an architect or a structural engineer, you want to show all the details in your work and you want to use Revit to do that. You have to make sure your detail level, especially in your plans, is not set to coarse. Ensure you set it to the fine. The fine is the best detail level to use. Now this particular setting, the next setting, which is the 8th setting you need to do on Revit, is optional, but it's also important for people who want to use Revit for drafting. Not just for modeling, they'll model in it and then draft with it. So here you can set all your different lines. You can create a line that you want to use. Let's say a property line, for instance. Let's say a ground line. Let's say on an elevation, that line that you draw on your ground level, all the overhead line, the sketch line, setter line, demolish line, all those lines that we use to annotate or just add details to your object. This is where you can set them. You go to manage the additional setting, then line styles. So I'm going to try to just set my property line and increase the size to 10 in terms of thickness, and then draw. You see that the thickness will be very the line will be very thick. So if I draw the property line, now in order to draw a property line, you have to use the detail line, because it's just a detail line, it's not a modeling line. DL, enter, then select the property line. So you can see this is the thickness that I've set it to. Now I can also set it to a color, just to improve the graphics. You can set it to go back to manage, and then additional settings, then line style, then go to the property line, and then set it to a color like bluish color. Let's see. So once I've set it to blue, I will OK it, then apply it, then OK. You can see it has been changed to blue. So you can do this for your Revit if you want to, especially if you want to use Revit for your drafting. So I think basically those are the major basic settings you need to do as a beginner in Revit before you start modeling or drafting using Revit. Now I know some of you may be thinking the settings are quite many, but the good thing here is that once you've already set a particular Revit page to a certain parameters and all the different settings you've done and everything, you do not need to ever do this again. So you only need to set your Revit once, and that will be it. So if you've done all this and you want to ensure that all your Revit carry all these settings that you've already done, all you just have to do is to go to the icon, the Revit icon, and save this this particular project as a template. So once you set it as a template, but before you do that, you have to ensure that you delete everything you've created on the page. So ensure it's a free page, and then go to the Revit tool and then save it as a template. I'm going to do not save. Okay, so you can see here I will just save it as a template and call it project 1. Save. Now once you save it, if you now want to work on another model in the future, you just have to do, okay, I'm going to close this page now. I'm going to close this page. So imagine I want to create another model. I'll just new, then select the template I just saved, and then open it. Okay, so now this is a fresh Revit page on a fresh Revit project, but all the settings that I just made in that particular project that I did, the project 1, will be applied. So if you want to verify, you can go to additional setting and the line weight. Remember, we set a property line, we set it to a color of blue and 10. You can see is there. So everything that we did in that part have now been applied here. So this is how you set a page, and you ensure that you can now use it in all your other Revit project that you may be doing. So all you just have to be doing is just to edit some minor things as you work. So that is it for this tutorial, and I hope this video has been able to help you to improve your Revit modeling. So let me know what you think of the video in the comment section, and you can also like and share the video. Subscribe to see many videos like this in the future. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.